Greetings to all the amazing people watching and listening to this. Welcome to CHEZUBA Talks, a podcast dedicated to sharing compelling stories of hope, determination, and humanity. If you have a warm bed, a roof over your head, you thank your stars. Some of us choose not to only thank our stars, but be humble. And some extraordinary people go beyond that and start a movement to donate their time, knowledge, and share your luck motto with others, for others. Hello, I'm Tej, and with me today is the Executive Director of the Lucky Duck Foundation, Drew Moser. Welcome, Drew. Honored to have you with us today.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Drew, tell us about the founders, Pat and Stephanie Kilkenny, and their motto.
Yeah, the Lucky Duck Foundation was started by Pat and Stephanie Kilkenny, a local San Diego couple that believe in giving back and making a difference in their community. And so they started this organization back in 2005. Pat was a very successful business person. And he said, me writing a check to charity isn't good enough. We need to get our friends and family together and tell them whatever they contribute, we will match so we can significantly increase our impact. And so they did that for a dozen or so years, would hold an annual fundraiser event, raise a sizable sum, and then give it away to some causes close to their heart. And then in 2016, Peter Seidler, who's the owner of the San Diego Padres Major League Baseball team, teamed up with another business and civic leader, Dan Shea, because they saw homelessness getting out of hand and very little being done to help the poor souls suffering on the streets. And so they they organized a weekly meeting to study it and determine what the private sector could do, and brought Pat and Stephanie Kilkenny into those conversations very early on. And long story short, Pat and Stephanie decided to make homelessness the sole emphasis of the Lucky Duck Foundation in 2017. And at that point, the foundation purchased several industrial tent structures that can shelter hundreds of people very, very quickly. And so homelessness has been the sole emphasis ever since. And really the motto or the philosophy is, if you consider yourself to have had some good luck and fortune in your life, share that luck with others. And Pat and Stephanie now match all donations up to $1.5 million per year to compel additional gifts and really make it all that much more easy and motivating for people to get involved and make a difference. And people usually ask me, where does the name come from, the Lucky Duck Foundation? And you can probably guess, with a last name like Kilkenny, there's some Irish heritage.
Yes.
So there's the luck of the Irish, or lucky. And then Pat went to the University of Oregon, and their mascot is the Ducks. And he went there. He's a major benefactor. He actually served as their athletic director for several years. And so that's where the name comes from. And again, if that's kind of the motto, is to share your luck with others to make a difference. And Pat and Stephanie will match your donation.
That's a beautiful thought. So do you call all the people who are coming in as lucky ducks?
A lot of our donor base consider themselves lucky ducks, and that's really what we're trying to foster, is this sort of family type approach, or feel that if you donate to our cause, you feel like you're a part of a family that cares and wants to make a difference and can make a difference. And so we'll raise a sizable sum of unrestricted contributions, and then we'll invest that in programs that are tangible, that have a high impact, and that can alleviate suffering now. And so I think a lot of our donor base feel that they've had some good luck and fortune in their lives, and for that reason, they're compelled to donate and get behind our efforts.
Maybe this is a very deep question, but could you tell us, why is homelessness on the rise?
There's a lot of reasons for homelessness, from economics to severe mental health issues, to drug abuse and addiction, to the cost of housing, to loss of employment. We say if there's 5,000 people on the streets, there's 5,000 different stories. And so we're focused on alleviating suffering now and helping people find a brighter and safer path immediately. And a lot of the electeds love to talk about adding housing. And housing is important, no doubt. It's an ideal outcome, but it's really costly and it's really long term. We're focused on how can we provide immediate pathways off the streets today. And we say if housing is the only thing that is focused on, that's like telling passengers on a sinking ship, hang tight, we'll build you some lifeboats sometime in the next 2 to 20 years, because it can take that long, if not longer, to add housing. And so that's where we're focused on providing shelters and other cost-effective, humane and compassionate but efficient pathways off the streets to put people in a warm bed with a roof over their head and start the path to healing and the journey, back to housing and that healthy and sustainable place in life. So there's a lot of reasons for homelessness, and we know we're never going to solve the issue, but we do believe we can make a meaningful impact and help a lot of people along the way.
Mm-hmm. You are running a huge organization. It requires a lot of time, effort, and resources. How are you managing the resources part of it?
Well, we have a staff of 2 people. For every dollar we raise, at least 94 cents goes back into the community. So we take great pride in operating lean and mean and making sure that the lion's share of anything that we raise gets pumped back into making a difference. And, we do it because of a lot of people that care deeply and roll up their sleeves. When I mentioned Peter Seidler, who owns the San Diego Padres, and Dan Shea, longtime business and civic leader, in 2016, they started that weekly meeting to study homelessness and determine what the private sector with philanthropy or coupled with philanthropy could do to make an impact. And that weekly meeting still takes place every single week to this day. And it's every Tuesday. Call themselves the Tuesday group. That group has not missed a weekly meeting in 6+ years, including Christmas Day and New Year's Day. And so Peter calls it the grubby band of volunteers, just people that care deeply and roll up their sleeves to make a difference. And so it's really through that sort of collective mindset of, everybody's going to jump in and own their piece of the puzzle and do everything in their power to make a difference and commit a considerable amount of time and talent and treasure to make a difference. And so that's, really how we're able to accomplish what we're able to accomplish. And it's, being surrounded by people like that is always, it's very humbling and inspiring.
Absolutely, yes. Hats off to all these people who are working tirelessly for all these people. Do these people approach you, or do you go around sourcing these people? By sourcing, I mean, referring these people to your shelter? Or how do these people get to know about Lucky Duck Foundation? Well,
if you're talking about donors, it's kind of all of the above. We're not afraid to go out and ask people for money to support our efforts. As if you don't know, if you don't ask, you don't know. And so we're not afraid to go out and partner with other foundations, other donors and philanthropists in town and point to all the things that we've been able to accomplish and all the programs that are tangible with, proven outcomes. And we'll invite people to the Tuesday group if they want to, maybe learn more and have a high capacity to make a difference. If you're talking about people accessing the shelters and some of the employment and job training programs and other things we've been able to start, it's really through. So first of all, we take pride in trying to be a connector and a collaborator. And And so it's really through a bunch of partnerships across a significant amount of nonprofit organizations throughout San Diego that we're able to, provide these pathways to these resources. And so like one quick example is 211 in San Diego. People can call that number and it's a resource directory. And so they can say, here's my location, here's my circumstances, and 211 will connect them to that shelter, to that organization. Okay. We have a food and water outreach program that reaches anywhere from 700 to 1,000 people per day. And just this week, actually, will eclipse 1.5 million meals distributed since launching this program about 2.5 years ago. And so that program is accomplished with, it's like 25 to 30 different organizations and their outreach teams. We fund the program and facilitate and lead it, but we can't distribute those meals without the partnership and collaboration with those 25 to 30 different organizations and outreach teams. So we try to be a connector. We try to create scenarios where organizations can leverage their strong suits, and instead of, some groups try to reinvent the wheel, or they put on their Superman capes and think they're solving the world's problems without talking to other organizations. We think if we, partner and work together, we can all go a lot further and have a bigger impact.
True. What is an average day at Lucky Duck Foundation in terms of the beneficiaries? You have all sorts of people coming in, I'm sure. So what is it like on a day?
Yeah. It's a little bit of everything, and no 2 days are the same, but to give you an idea, there's probably for every first of all, we have programs that we own and operate ourselves that require quite a bit of management and oversight. The food and water program I mentioned, we have a Lucky Ducklings program that's all about engaging high school youth that has 100 to 125 kids across 8 or 10 different schools. We have a cash for trash program that pays people $2 for every bag of trash that they clean up from their encampment or their surrounding areas. Yeah, it was a pilot program that after 34 days, more than 44 tons of trash was picked up, and the response from all parties was really positive. And so we're extending that program, and we're going to figure out.
Yeah, I think the entire world needs to.
What's that?
Trash.
Totally. We're figuring out how we can expand and replicate it throughout San Diego, and it's not all that complex. It just takes some elbow grease and the right people to facilitate the program with a little bit of funding. So all those programs require some oversight. We have a program manager that mostly oversees those, but it's still a fair amount of work between both of us to make sure that they're moving and on track and expanding and heading in the direction we want them to go. Then there's the programs and organizations that are seeking funding from us. And so those require a fair amount of due diligence to review exactly what it is they're needing from Lucky Duck Foundation in the way of funding and how their program would work, and making sure that it's not duplicative of something that already exists, and so on and so forth. So those can require a fair amount of time to do the due diligence on those. Mm-hmm. Then there's the fundraising efforts, which is going out and meeting with donors and folks that want to learn more and want to consider making a contribution and getting more involved, and with volunteers as well that want to may not have the capacity to donate but want to come and give some of the time that they have. And so there's that element of it. And then the fourth is a lot of what we do is try to constructively hold elected leaders accountable and constructively push on them to do more. So much of addressing homelessness comes down to political will. And so, we've got a new program that's called Shamrocks and Shipwrecks that's basically going to highlight the good and the bad of political will and efficacy as it relates to addressing homelessness. and actions that are tangible that move the ball forward, those will earn shamrocks. And then inaction or missed opportunities amongst elected leaders, those would get shipwrecks. And then that effort comes with a long list of things that the Lucky Duck Foundation is doing or prepared to do to help elected leaders throughout San Diego County. And so the, interfacing with some government leaders and government employees that are focused on homelessness, that can take a considerable portion of our time as well. So that's sort of in my mind how I break down kind of the four key elements of who we are and what we do, from the program management, fundraising, the awarding of funds and creation of impactful programs, and then interfacing with the elected leaders.
Wonderful. Which is the area that you find most challenging in these four areas?
The elected leaders part. I tell people that I think we're trying to do God's work on several levels. The work of helping people find a brighter pathway off the streets, but also the work of instigating political will. And a lot of elected leaders are focused on the next election cycle instead of what they can and should do now to help the situation. And so it's challenging for sure. It is rewarding, but I think I'd say that's probably the most challenging.
Yeah, okay. What kind of a reaction or what kind of reception do you get when you go to approach for fundraising? What is the first instance when people know that you're from the Lucky Duck Foundation and you're here to ask for funds? Is it conducive?
Yeah, they love. Is it what?
Is it conducive? I mean, are they receptive?
Yeah, they typically what we hear the most is that they love that their donation will be matched.
Okay.
And they love that we aren't afraid to publicly hold elected leaders accountable. And I think that's an important place that we play. So many of the organizations focused on homelessness receive government funding. And so because of that, they oftentimes can't say things about our government's approach or elected leaders because you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. Whereas we virtually exclusively pursue private dollars, and people like Peter Seidler and Dan Shea and others can have a really powerful and important voice to just call a spade and elevate the facts, not in a aggressive or harmful way, but in such a way that tries to hold people accountable and moves things forward that should be, that maybe others are afraid to say or don't want to say or feel that they can't say because of how the funding works. And so generally that's the response that we get. There's several occasions where we've had to call a press conference or take other steps publicly to move things forward that ultimately generated results with the elected leaders. And I'm happy to give you a few examples, but that's generally the response that we get. People, donors like that their gift is matched. They like that we're not afraid to try to constructively hold elected leaders accountable. But then they also like, probably the third thing is that we measure every program. And so we can go back and say, whether it's a $1,000 gift or $100,000 gift or $1 million gift, we can say, here's the anticipated outcomes that we expect to achieve. And then we'll go back and measure against that so we can understand exactly what we were able to accomplish with that funding.
Accountability, yes, absolutely. A big plus there is accountability. Wonderful. You also accept cryptocurrency, is what I read on your website.
Correct. Yep.
So how does that work?
I'm trying to think. I think it's an organization. It's a company called The Giving Block that basically is able to create a plugin on our website So as donors, they might be invested in cryptocurrency and want to make a difference. We make it very easy for them to get on our website and donate crypto and gain the tax advantages of a gift like that. And so, yeah, we're able to, whether it's cryptocurrency or stock donations or donor advised funds or what have you, we're able to accept a whole lot of contributions. Is what you have to do if you want to raise money and keep making a difference. So it's it's a great platform, and it makes it really seamless.
It is. I think it will find a lot of positive response from the millennials, the ones who want to give and they would like to give in their currency, the crypto. You're very flexible, basically.
Totally. And to your point about millennials, we try to put out a steady stream of content across all our social media channels, highlighting, some of the programs we're investing in, some of the programs that we own and operate ourselves. Because it's important to be able to quantify what we're doing and highlight what we're doing. And some of those crypto donors will never even meet or know who they are. And so we have to be able to communicate who we are and what we're doing in other ways and on other mediums. And so that's all part of, the fundraising and making a difference this day and age. Is you got to live on a bunch of different places and put out content on different places, and which we're happy to do. And really, it gives us a chance to tell the stories of some of these organizations and programs that we're able to partner with and kickstart that, otherwise maybe folks wouldn't know about. And so we're constantly out there trying to tell good stories, whether on social media or through traditional media, because we just believe so much in what we're doing and some of these programs that we've been able to get behind that we hope, people far and wide can learn about what we're doing and the lives we're able to change.
Yeah, I went through your website and I found a lot of programs, a lot of incentives for even volunteers to come in and help. Are you looking for volunteers all the time, or is there a phase that you look for? Maybe during Christmas, maybe,
We always need volunteers. Yeah. No, we always need volunteers, especially for our food and water outreach program. That's the one I mentioned earlier, that this week will eclipse 1.5 million meals distributed. And actually tomorrow we're going to celebrate that occasion. We're going to bring out a food truck from Dreams for Change, which is one of the many employment and job training programs we've funded to help people overcome homelessness. It trains them in restaurant operations and food truck operations so they can go out and get restaurant type jobs. And so we're going to bring them out to serve hot breakfast to all the outreach workers and volunteers and donors and staff at some of our partner organizations. But, outside of that, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning, we need help packing the meals and preparing them for the outreach workers to come and pick them up. Because basically how it works is we'll buy all these ingredients, they get shipped to us, and then we have to package the meals for about 700 to 1,000 people every day. So it's a bit of a tall order. And so we need volunteers out there every Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning, assembling the packets. They pack them and put them in plastic bags. And then all the outreach workers come and pick up those meals. And then they're the ones who distribute them throughout the city and the county. And this program was...
Sorry.
What's that?
Would you also require online volunteers? Do you require any kind of digital help?
Yeah, we do on more of a case-by-case basis. It could be graphic design. It could be doing some research. It could be doing volunteer recruitment. It could be doing donor recruitment and sort of prospecting. And that's more on a case-by-case basis, I'd say. But we're not afraid to put people to work and find ways for them to plug in either in person or remotely. Because I know that's kind of where you all are focused, is really engaging volunteers across the globe, which I think is awesome.
Yes. And we're very happy doing that. And we have a lot of wonderful response. So you might want to tap into that source as well. Also, tell me, there are all kinds of homeless people coming into your shelters. You would have people with drug abuse, you would have people with mental health problems. How is the staff able to handle these? Are they counseling them, or you would require medication, you would require counseling, you would require, of course, the basic things like food, shelter, and water. But are you also dealing with a lot of these criminal bent of mind kind of individuals?
Yeah, so it's a good question. The shelters that we own and will typically donate the use of those assets to the city, the local municipality, and then we'll cover the cost to construct them. And then when it comes to operating those 24/7, that's a different organization. We're not a service provider. Okay. That's where like the Alpha Project locally that's kind of their bread and butter, is operating those shelters, going out onto the streets, finding those people and bringing them in to provide the appropriate, triage and path to behavioral health services, mental health services, case management and housing navigation and that whole deal. What we've done is created a passport program. We call it Passport Program, that there's, a list of 5 or 7 things that if folks, once they move into the shelters, if they accomplish those things within 30 days, we'll provide them with a community care kit. And so it could be, doing your laundry, getting vaccinated, getting connected to a mental health screening, taking a shower, getting connected to a housing navigator. If they accomplish those things, we'll get a community care kit. So it's a backpack with like sweatshirt, sweatpants, stocking cap, and socks, and usually a gift card, like to a local retailer. And so that has really, it's not just a handout, but it's really an incentive for them to take the appropriate steps to start the path to recovery. And so that's kind of one of the ways we can sort of support and reinforce what the Alpha Project or what those service providers are doing, so that they can help people, more quickly get connected to the services that they need.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Drew. You have helped us understand this entire situation and you put it into perspective. It is a difficult task. It is something that will not see an end in the very near future. But I think you guys are doing fantastic work. And we would like to share this with the audience and tell them about Lucky Duck Foundation. Could you share your social media handles so we can just publish them and get people to visit your website?
Yeah, luckyduckfoundation.org is our website, and our social media channels there. And I think Instagram, it's Lucky Duck Foundation, or maybe Lucky Duck Found. Twitter, I think, is Lucky Duck Foundation. Facebook, they should all be under Lucky Duck Foundation. So we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and then we have a YouTube presence as well. But all of that can be found at luckyduckfoundation.org.
Great. Yes, wishing you a lot of goodwill and a lot of best wishes for running this wonderful organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you.